Wrestling is no martial arts, it's a sport. That's what many people say, but that couldn't be any further from the truth. Wrestling is one of the most ancient, original martial arts. So the term martial arts stems from artes martialis, which means the arts of Mars. Mars is the Roman god of war, and wrestling has been a part of actual ancient warfare training since forever. Okay, because in a ancient warfare and even in the Middle Ages, wrestling somebody down is a legend technique to then use your sword and poke them. Even here in Europe, we had something called Wapenringen, which translates to weapon wrestling. So you try to block the other guy from drawing their sword. That's why in many ancient Japanese original martial arts and Chinese, you see the hands very low where your sword would be, and you see them like touching the hip of their opponent many times, and you're wondering why. Yeah, the reason is because that would be where they draw their sword. So I block you from drawing your sword, I wrestle you down, poke. That's it. Wrestling is an original martial arts. It's very much the same as in boxing. Many people think boxing is just a sport, but that couldn't be any further from the truth. In fact, if we take the word itself, arts of the Roman god of war, of Mars, the arts of the god of war, then we see that a competitive fighting, an actual competition, is much closer to what probably the god of war would see as his art. And just dancing around and flopping around like many of what we today call traditional martial arts would be much further. They are much less martial arts. They are much more akin to dancing. It's like a dance, you know? If your martial art doesn't contain any actual fighting against other people, then it's a dance, you know? If it's not us against each other, if we train together and all the thing is always together as a team, well, that's not fighting, that's dancing. That's dancing. No matter how the dance looks, it's still a dance, okay? It's still a dance. In rock and roll dancing, you have something like hip throws and stuff like that, but it's still not fighting. On the other hand, in wrestling, we fight against each other. You try to throw me, I try to throw you. And yes, we made rules that we will not choke or punch each other, but it's still fighting. Like in boxing, we made rules that we shall not kick and we shall not wrestle. We shall only use our fists and box, and it's a martial art, it's fighting. So yeah, you guys have to accept. Wrestling is it's one of the most intense martial arts out there. And yes, it's also a combat sport. Yeah, because fighting is competitive. That's the whole core of fighting, competition.